pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everybody, and thank you for hanging out with us today. Just a quick reminder before we get started, if you want to find out about all the latest news and updates, and even have each episode in your mailbox as soon as they're released, just go to the ConstitutionCommandos.org. Sign in. My name is Chris, calling my brother Patrick right now, and you're listening to the Constitution Commandos.
Yeah, well, hear me both. So
As long as
we'll
we don't
see.
have any CIA ninjas doing any MK Ultra testing on our computers, we're all right.
Oh no, FBI's tapped in listening, man.
Oh, they've been
That's all
listening
right.
for a long time. I hope they're enjoying the show.
Yeah, well, they're probably gonna learn something.
So, anybody in Big Brother, why don't you leave your comments below?
Absolutely.
We
Yeah,
read
it's
them
your
all.
feedback. Yeah, your feedback is greatly appreciated. And please be detailed on your comments and leave us what department you're in and what office you work for.
And be sure to let us know which one of us you would like to talk to.
Yeah. Oh no, I need this information because I like to send Christmas cards out.
Absolutely. Most definitely. And if you don't mind, leave your birth date as well.
Yeah.
We don't care about your social security number. We can get that ourselves. Oh, man. I love people always tell you can't say that, man. You're on the telephone. Don't you know who's listening? I'm like, don't you know you don't need the telephone for them to be listening?
Yeah, I know it, man.
They got
Yeah,
satellites in space that can hear everything we say.
well, they don't even need them now because I mean they got Pegasus software. That
Mhm.
Pegasus software, man, that shit. I tell you what, I can understand the premise behind it, and I can understand, you know, creators and writers wanting to come up with a software like that. They sell it to these governments. The governments are using it for nefarious reasons, and man, it's spying on everybody. I mean, everybody that's got any type of a device, a cell phone, a smart TV, Amazon, what you call it, that you talk to in your house. Man, these people, they hear everything that we are talking about.
And
It
not
don't
talking
matter if,
about.
yeah, it don't matter if it's in your damn pocket and you ain't talking on the phone. If it's got a microphone and a camera, they're accessing it.
Hey, your phone can tell you if you've got COVID now.
Yeah, my phone can't tell me how to get to Ohio. I don't believe anything my phone says.
Yeah. I keep calling them smart devices, but I haven't figured out where the smart is yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen a level of intellectual or well any
Ar-
quality that would say it's advanced in any way. I mean, I
Artificial
think
or otherwise.
yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that I can play solitaire on it. I love playing solitaire. Hell, my wife will tell you, I get on solitaire and I play that for 3-4 hours at a time, man, which is horrible. I mean, I'm kind of calling myself out. I
Hmm.
mean, it's not like any grown man that's actually contributing to the household or society ever has 3 hours idle that they can sit around and waste on a damn game on their phone. But
Well,
guilty.
I like the fact that they did come up with one feature on these phones that I do like, simply because I hate texting. Now, if I could just get the damn thing to translate properly, I'd be all right.
Yeah, the dictation thing, man. Oh, dude.
It's pathetic.
Oh, I'll tell you another thing that trips me out. I'll tell you, honest, think about this. And it is exactly like what you're talking about. Like if you sit there on a day, like me, I got my Garmin Trucker's GPS. The lady in the box that talks to me, I mean, and I don't know why I chose the woman's voice over the man's voice, but probably because I'm a man and it's whatever. But she sounds like a freaking robot. She can't pronounce words that are English,
Right.
And it's like with all the advancements out there, you mean to tell me that you can't sit down and program the woman in the box to have a more human voice?
Now,
I
wait a
mean,
minute.
really?
First of all, think about what you're saying. You're talking about getting the woman to do anything, right? I mean, it's
Well,
like,
yeah, but granted, this is a digital woman. I mean, let's say I picked the man's voice, but either way, the person in the box that's talking to me, telling me to take a left turn in 500 feet, they're horrible. They can't pronounce words. It sounds like a robot. It's like, yeah, y'all can do a lot better on technology. I mean, I'm just here to call every one of y'all out. You programmers and engineers, y'all have got your priorities fucked up.
I
I
feel
mean,
like
you
I
want
hear
to have,
another. I feel like I hear another Alice in Chains song coming out of this.
well, I mean, it's like you you can come up with a damn pair of glasses that has a, what do they call it? You can see it, upright display or whatever they
Heads
call
up
it.
display.
Yeah, heads up display in the freaking lens of a piece of eyeglasses.
Now you're a cyborg.
Yeah, but you can't come up with a that talks to you like a real person, not like a robot. I mean,
Don't forget those little flying discs that we've got now that actually fly without jet propulsion. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can't forget about that kind of stuff. I mean, that's some really serious technology right there. How long was Delta Force a secret before they finally told us, oh, yeah, they do
Well,
exist?
yeah, yeah, but I think anti-gravity has been out there for a while. I mean, you think about it. I mean, for me, I'm not a physicist or anything, but you would think that they would use some type of a magnetic pulse to do it. So, I mean, it's pretty basic. You put two magnets opposite polarities next to each other, it pushes each other away. Well, how are you going to make a levitating anything? We
Like,
have a magnetic pull, a gravitational pull on our planet.
mhm.
You can supercharge a reverse polarity and then some bitch will hover.
Well,
Like I said,
when I was
I'm
at
not a
National
physics guy.
Aviation Academy, my first instructor down there, he was he had this cute little device sitting on his desk one day. It looked like a plate with three prongs, right? They
Yeah.
were sticking up in an angle, all three angled away from each other. And of course, we all saw it, but he didn't draw our attention to it until after he asked us some questions about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
And of course, all the researching that's been done in the Bermuda Triangle, no planes or ships have been found or anything like that. So he asked, what happened to them? They disappeared. We can't find them. And we're all scratching our heads like, where is he going with this? I mean, we're supposed to be learning about high pressure hoses on an aircraft this week, you know? And he plugged this thing in and he had just like a metal marble, I guess you'd say. And he dropped it down toward the middle of that plate in between those prongs. And that thing launched like a bullet into the ceiling. He said, now,
Yeah.
what happened to all those planes and ships in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah. But it's anti-gravity and I think it all deals with some type of magnetic.
It is magnetic. Remember, do you remember all the problems they had down in New Orleans with headstones being moved and
Yeah.
things coming out of the graves that they had in there? That's what that was magnetic. It was magnetic reaction, I guess you'd call it. But that's what was causing that. You know, the Bermuda Triangle is not where it was when you and I were growing up. It's actually moved now, which, by the way, big brother, since you're listening, global warming is hokey. All right. Here's why: because every 1,000 years, the poles, north and south,
Shit.
that is,
Yeah.
they swap places. So we're
Yeah.
going to have some warming. It's
Yeah. I mean, I don't, it's like a religion to those people. They're like in a cult that believe. Do
It's definitely a
we as
cult, but it's just
humans,
to tell you as many lies as they can. I'm just surprised that they come up with so many.
well, all it is to drain you of your wealth, to take your money. That's all it
What
is.
wealth?
It's a Ponzi scheme that has people falling for. And, you know, I mean, in my opinion, as humans, I mean, we are stewards of the planet. Absolutely. And as humans, I believe that God put everything on this earth for us to utilize because it will keep producing. But God knew that we were going to discover oil. God knew that we were going to turn this oil, we were going to transport it to refineries and make gas, diesel. He knew we were going to find stuff, and he knew we were going to build objects with four wheels and a motor. Greta Thunberg is because at the am I working now?
Yep, you're there now.
Am I working now?
Yep.
Okay. The only reason they gave us Greta Thunberg was because she was 16 years old with autism, and they knew that if anybody said anything to contradict what she was saying, we'd be labeled ableist and we're hate mongers and all this shit.
Who are you talking
It's like
about?
Greta Thunberg, the girl that's went up to the what was it? The one running around the world on a damn jet telling people about global or climate change.
Oh, she's doing this on a jet.
Oh, yeah. That's the only way she can get to all these
About,
different countries, man.
about like John
But
Kerry's pushing that Green New Deal, but he's got to go everywhere on a jet.
yeah, but John Kerry will tell you point blank, his job is so important, he needs a jet.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
need transportation, but he does.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that the
whatever.
same philosophy as we don't need our border walled, but the White House needs a fence around it?
Yeah, right. Or Joe Biden's Delaware home needs that big old wall built around it, or
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
yeah, but walls don't work. And there's clear evidence that walls don't work. Go on the border. Look and watch where all these millions of people are going through. They're not coming over the wall. They're going in between the gaps where there is no wall.
Well,
walls work.
They built that fence around the Capitol and it kept all of them crazy fools out. I mean, in or what? Either way, they were coming and going. It's crazy.
Yeah, but if people would take just a minute and listen to all this bullshit that these government officials are feeding us, and if they were used the level of critical thinking that was probably applicable that a 5-year-old would use.
You're talking about critical theory?
Come on, everybody that's had. Well, I mean, no, I'm just talking about critical thinking. I mean, anybody that's got kids that's had a 4 and a 5-year-old go around and say, why? Well, you know what? That's called an inquisitive mind. What is that? A denier? No, they're curious. Is it annoying? Sure. But stop. we need to get to the point where we start asking why again. You know what I mean? It's finding yourself on the end of a. Well, I mean, to me, the more annoying will be find yourself one day you wake up into slavery. Now, tell me what's more annoying, asking questions of your officials or turning around and just keeping your mouth shut and trying to condemn everybody else that wants to ask questions.
Well, once you end up in slavery, it won't matter because then you can't ask anything.
Oh, that's right. And they'll understand at that time, golly, man, I think we went the wrong way. Hey, Carl, did we misread that sign?
What are you going to do with that lawnmower blade?
Yeah.
I aim to kill you with it.
Now get in there and make me some mustard viscous.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that second whack got him pretty good. What do you say? How do you dial 911? I hear a lot of people right here saying the same thing.
But I'll tell you what, man, I think people, I mean, for myself, I mean, I'm not in to give advice to anybody about anything except for basics. I mean, when I say basics, my advice generally, if I give it, it is based on an irrefutable fact. So my advice to any and everyone listening to this, I don't give a shit what country you live in. I'm saying this based out of America. I'm saying this because me and every American has a constitution, the United States Constitution, and we have the First Amendment. But as far as I'm concerned, everyone in this world was given their rights by God, and we all need to start speaking.
That's
It
right.
don't matter. It doesn't matter what the consequence is, because nobody goes to war without getting some type of scars or wounds.
That's
It
right.
doesn't happen. And we are in war. The 5th generation warfare, war of information. And as long as they keep trying to suppress a person or an individual's voice, they're winning. And as long as we stay quiet or walk on eggshells,
We're
or
giving it
think
to
for
them.
5 minutes, then we have seceded.
Yep.
Or conceded. And I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't concede.
I will not go quietly into the night. I won't do it. I have a loud voice. I've had it since I was born. I used to get kicked off the school bus because I'm so loud. People still think I'm loud. But I mean, I will speak my mind. Now, I don't deliberately go out of my way to piss people off or try to be offensive or nothing. Well, I take that back.
We don't have
want
to. It's a
somebody-
natural tendency.
Well, I mean, but there are some people. If I want them to put their hands on me, I'll try to insult them, and then I'll defend myself. But I mean, aside from that, I try to be fairly Christian. I try to think about what's about to come out of my mouth, and I try to be deliberate with my words. So if somebody doesn't like what comes out of my mouth, I don't give a shit. They can fuck off because I'm not walking on eggshells for them. I'm not doing it. I don't give a shit what they say about me. I mean,
well, it doesn't really matter because you just got through talking about we have a constitution. Well, the First Amendment to that Constitution is, well, the very first thing there is the freedom of religion, but then it goes to freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to petition. You know what I mean?
yeah,
These are all freedoms. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody that put on that uniform and served long enough to call themselves a veteran earned the right to speak. And
well, we didn't just earn the right.
we paid
We
for it.
secured the right for
Right.
everybody, even if they didn't wear the uniform.
Oh, absolutely. That's what
Freedom
we're
of
meant to say.
speech is protecting unpopular speech too,
That's right.
not
And
silencing it.
well, silencing it is it goes against the Constitution. And
Yeah.
and look, let me I'm gonna let you hear this thing that Thomas Jefferson said. Bear in mind, this was only about 245 years ago. I predict the future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Now
Yeah.
that's pretty insightful for what 245 years ago, because like I said the other day, if that's true, the opposite is also true. You know, we let the government take over, we won't be happy.
No.
And
Well, I mean, part of this freedom of speech thing for me, the First Amendment, I get so fucking tired, and it's all worldwide. I pay attention to worldwide media. And look, I'm gonna tell you, this right here gets under my skin so bad. I mean, it really does. And it's like, to me, blatantly obvious. People would read the First Amendment, which it don't take a lot of reading to read the First Amendment. But people go around, the media is all like, misinformation, disinformation. Well, you know what? The First Amendment provides me the right to misinform you. It provides me the right to lie to you. It's
That's
up to
right.
you to take what I say as truth or not. And it's up to you to get off your lazy ass and find out if it's based on fact or reality.
That's
I
right.
can lie to you if I want to. That ain't a freaking law. I mean, it's not a crime. So I don't need somebody. And who is the arbiter of truth? Now, anytime that somebody says, we'll disseminate what is and what is not factual,
Oh, Joe
then those
Biden.
people,
He
those
has the
people-
ministry of truth.
Yeah, but those people you need to be leery of.
That's
Those
right.
people are your enemy. Anybody that says that they can tell you what is and what is not factual, they are
They're lying.
crazy and dangerous people. They are dangerous. Anybody who wants to look at any of these fact checkers, don't ever come up to me, oh, that was fact check. Well, you can suck a fart out of my ass. That was fact check too, because I don't need somebody to fact check me. Why don't you get off your lazy ass and let somebody don't count on Snopes, which is a highly partisan bullshit, ain't even a think tank. But get off your ass and do some research. Don't tell me, oh, it was fact checked, because you know what? You are the next most dangerous thing in the world of information. Oh, it was fact checked. That's wrong. No. Wasn't wrong. Chances are, if it was fact checked, it was probably right over the target.
Well, here's a fact check for you. And this is what I've told several people over the last few years. They don't like it, of course, but oh well. But I have told people over the last few years, you're very lucky to be in the United States. And they're like, wow, look at me. I'm living on the streets. I ain't got nothing. Well, see, that's what I'm telling you. You're very fortunate to be living in the United States because you are free to live on the streets if you want to. Now, I'll be the first to tell you it is not easy getting off the streets, but it can be done. The question is, are you willing to work for it?
That's
And,
right.
and quite frankly, there are thousands of very, very brave men and women, much braver than myself, who will not be living in the lap of this country's luxury anymore because they've already paid for it with their lives. And I have a hard time with that too, not understanding why people kind of, I call it pissing on the graves of men who paid for their freedoms. I think that goes back to what we were taught when we were kids. If you don't work for it, you won't appreciate it. People get mad at me because I get upset about people not doing anything, but I guess that's all right. They got the right to get mad, but it seems to me like it takes a lot more work to get mad at me for that than it would just to get up your ass and do something. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that's right.
There is a bit of confusion in this world, I do believe. And one thing I do know is God is not the author of confusion. Did you know that Thomas Jefferson, you remember the deist, he actually, I think it was for like 3 or 4 years, used a room in the White House, ready for this, to hold church services where he also had paid musicians to come hold worship service in the White House for like 2 or 3 years.
No, I did not know that.
I just found this out. And I think Thomas Jefferson was what, the 4th president, right? And it amazes me how many people try to negate how this country was founded. Now, granted, they didn't really teach a whole lot of it. Not even when we were growing up, we didn't learn a whole lot of it. Most of our founding fathers were just, you know, glamorized and memorialized, and that was about it. But they were all just men, just like we are, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't even say that because Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton were the first ones to start political mudslinging in the very first administration in this nation. But, they were just people. Do you remember when I called you one day after doing some studying on these guys? And I was like, man, these guys were overgrown babies.
Oh, well, I know, but they weren't really overgrown. They were young. They accomplished more by the time they were 20 than most people nowadays by their 40.
Yeah, George Washington actually won the war on independence at the last battle that was fought. And he was 30, 36, was he?
Yeah, something like that. He was younger.
Yeah. He was, well, he was close to being the youngest president to ever serve. Very close to that. And really all he wanted to do was go home.
Yeah, and that amazes me today. I mean, and it is it's a parallel, but it's very, very relevant to what's going on today. You know, I know their lifespans were younger, but back in the day, man, you go back to the pioneer days and shit. People left the East Coast, well, let's say during like the homesteading time. Man, they go out west at like 16 years old, 15, 16 years old
Sure.
on their own. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
walking around with 2 6-shooters, a fucking cowboy hat, and maybe a bag of jerky and some salt and a pack mule. If they were lucky, they had a horse.
And a
But some of
knife.
them didn't even have that.
And a knife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some of them didn't even have that. Some of them walked. But you're going to turn around and tell me that, because this is kind of, it's kind of in sync with the American fabric and the First Amendment in the sense of those men. Do you think anybody would have dared walked up to them and said, "Watch what you say," or "You can't say that"? I mean, those were some bold son of a bitches.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Lewis and Clark, we didn't even have maps of the West. And then what they had was maps of a river and a trail to get to Washington. You know what I mean?
They're the ones that made the maps.
Yeah, but they didn't even make a map. Yeah, the maps they had were of river systems.
Yeah.
And then once they got to a certain point of land going through certain passes. But when you're talking about people that said, you know what, I'm going to go into damn Missouri and Kansas, which weren't really, or they were just recently named and adopted, as territories and or states. But they didn't know what the hell was out there. They had no idea.
Well,
they didn't know the trials. They didn't know what rivers, what animals. They just heard of an opportunity and they took it.
And don't forget the Indian tribes, what do they call them? The indigenous people were all scattered out all over this country in small tribes. So they didn't know who they were walking up on, whether they were violent or friendly or anything.
Yeah, they had no idea.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the lifespan back then, I guess most people don't realize.
Mid-20s, late 20s.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the men, as a matter of fact, the youngest person that signed his name on the Declaration of Independence was barely 21 years old. And the average age of those delegates, I believe, was only like 30. And Benjamin Franklin was the oldest by far. I mean, he was 80 years old, I think, when he died, 80-something years old. But most men back then didn't live past 45, 50 years old.
Yeah, so, you were an old man back then.
Right. And, Jefferson Davis, he was the youngest of 10 brothers and sisters. And his father went out looking for places to actually build an income to take care of his family. And he ended up traveling from Georgia up to Kentucky, I believe it was, back down through Alabama and across to Mississippi. And bear in mind, there were no roads back then. It wasn't really a whole lot of trails for horse and buggy. And, all this down here wasn't even really developed back then. So this man carries his wife and 10 kids all over rough terrain, inclement weather, everything. But, we don't like walking to the mailbox these days, do we?
But see, back then we had men.
Yeah.
And they talk about masculine.
What happened?
Masculinity. And let me tell everybody, listen, if you got a pecker hanging between your legs, I don't know or care. I can't even imagine anyone in their right mind telling somebody that masculinity is toxic. We need men. We need men that hit the weights. We need men to go out and do rough things. We need men that ain't scared to go rock climbing, white water, or get in fights. I'm not saying start fights, but
parasailing, hang gliding, bungee jumping.
Yeah, and then we need strong men. A nation without strong men is going to collapse. Period.
Yep.
I don't want to be. This is America. We are a nation of strong men, not just physically strong, but intestinal fortitude out of this world. We're colonials, man.
We need
Be
more
fucking
men.
proud of it.
We need more men like the men that were fighting with George Washington when he actually won the last battle that brought our independence. Those men had
Yeah.
been months in the winter with no food, no supplies. They were having to find metal to make their ammo with. Most of these guys were walking in the snow barefooted, and they were following that one vision to have independence against an army that we should have never been able to beat by any stretch of the imagination. We were outnumbered, what, 30-1?
Yeah, but
And
the beauty of it was that they could not resupply, and thank God for what is now called the Rangers.
yep.
Man, we pioneered guerrilla warfare. We developed it because we're Americans. We're some bad son of a bitches. We get a problem, we figure out how to solve it. Well, we fought an army that no other nation could defeat.
Yep.
We defeated them because we said, you know what? We're going to develop this thing called a militia.
Mhm.
Our ministers and preachers and our little farmers and some boys, some little kids. We're going to go up there and hide in the woods, and we're going to light these some bitches up.
And that's exactly what beat the army was a bunch of kids. Most of them weren't even 21 yet. And the funny thing about that is England could have been hit from every side during that time because they pulled their full navy and their full army to send over here.
Yeah.
They didn't have anybody anywhere else, and we defeated them. But we didn't just defeat them because we said we were tired of England. I promise you.
Well, because we're born of a spirit.
Yep.
We knew what was at risk.
But willing to take the risk.
Yeah, and I hope we don't ever have to have that type of war again. But
I hope we don't either, but that's what we're dealing with right now as far as tyrannical governments go.
Oh, yeah, no, we are in a war, but I don't ever want it to be like a second dimensional war,
No.
I want it to be, actually, I don't even want this war. But, I don't think any war is good on the home front. But the enemy is within. We've had Trojan horses. We've allowed these people to come into government. We've at every level of government, federal, local, state, every level.
Mm-hmm.
And every branch of government, executive, legislative, and judicial. Every branch has been contaminated. And we, the people, are many. They are few. And we stay together and we keep our First Amendment and exercise the First Amendment. And we stand our ground. They have nothing for us. And I don't care what country you're in. You might not have a First Amendment, but you got a voice, and that voice was given to God. You've got a certain level of freedoms that were given to you by God, not your freaking government.
That's right. But I think the best line of defense that we have right now, it wouldn't do us any good to arm up and go to war with anybody right now. The best thing we can do is what me and you are doing right now is help people understand exactly what it is that's going on. Knowledge is power, without a doubt. But until people start understanding what's going on and why it's going on, we're going to be fighting each other instead of fighting who we need to be fighting. And really, to beat these people, all we got to do is stand. That's it.
Stand united.
Stand united. Anybody, if you ever played Red Rover when you were a kid, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, this topic does bring me to the Second Amendment.
Yeah, we need the Second Amendment to keep the First Amendment.
Well, because here in America, even the Brits don't have this right. They can have a shotgun or something like that. They can prove it's for hunting. But we're the only country that has a Second Amendment, the right to bear arms that I'm aware of. And
the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And for those who have a hard time with the English language, shall is a definitive word. It is not an if-then thing. It's a given.
But see, this is the thing that I would call on all Americans to do and if you are a nation out there that has the right to own and keep arms, I advise everybody to do it. I'm not saying go after your government. I'm not saying that. But
protect yourself, though.
The ability to be a marksman is a perishable knowledge. If
Yep.
you do not continue to do it, you will lose your ability to be effective with a weapon. So everybody needs to. I don't care if it's just a box of 100. You need to be able to make a regular investment in ammunition more than you're going to shoot up at the range or out in the country. You need to be able to have enough rounds to defend your immediate household, and you need to be able to have enough rounds that you can stay on target. You can regularly practice, keep
far as
those
that goes-
skills refined.
As far as that goes, learn how to make your own rounds.
Yeah, but my point of saying this is having 300 plus million, 400 million weapons out there in the hands of private civilians
Yeah.
is useless if they don't know how to be proficient with those weapons.
Oh, most definitely.
Proficiency is key to you to make those weapons what they
Efficient.
are, and
Yeah.
and they are a check on the powers to be. So to be proficient with the use of a weapon and your marksmanship skills is paramount.
That's how you shoot them straight. It almost sounded like we were fixing to get into a Second Amendment conversation, didn't it? But anyway, why don't you tell us what you think about it? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget we're on all your favorite podcast channels. My name is Chris Williams, and on behalf of my brother and myself, we are the Constitution Commandos, and we're signing out.